Tonight, on Female Icons of the 21st Century, we explore the life of Julie Biddle, wife, mother, star of countless dramas, activist, dancer, and socialite. Julie was born plain old Julie Ragg, one of a family of 7 kids growing up in the outback town of Perth, Western Australia. Her mum, Muriel, married Kevin, Julie's stepdad, and they lived a hand-to-mouth existence whilst always showing love to Julie and her siblings Sharon, Annette, Wayne, Robin, Kerry and Brett. Perth in the 1960s and 70s was not the sophisticated, urbane city it is today. It was part of Australia's Wild West, a rambunctious outlaw town full of wild passions and wilder violence. Julie grew up in the suburb of Balga, a happy and energetic child, innocent and playful. She went to school with childhood friends Tony, Yvonne and Tula, the terrors of Balga High School.
We thought Julie was a quiet one back then. Apparently not, as it turned out.
Julie eventually discovered boys, and during her rebellious years, she would sneak out at night to hang out with the infamous Balga Bogs. In particular, their charismatic and vaguely psychopathic gang leader, Milton the Monster. That experience led Julie to leave the big city attractions of Perth to go to Broome, outback Australia, where she trained to be a geriatric and psychiatric nurse, valuable skills for when she later had to care for her husband, Davy. But there was something driving Julie to experience the wider world. In 1979, she made a life-changing decision to accompany her best friend Tony on a 6-month visit to Europe, culminating in a stay in London town. She's still here, almost 4 decades on.
There was just something about London that kept our Julie captivated.
The young ingenues found their spiritual home in London. Still reeling from the creative explosion that was punk, it was an anything-goes introduction to a brand new life. Tony soon found her life partner, Paul, the charismatic singer in punk rock band Car Crash. Shortly afterwards, Julie met bandmate Davy, and a marriage of convenience to keep her in the country evolved into a 4-decade journey, a meeting of hearts, minds and souls.
As soon as Julie and Dave met at a barbecue at my place in Tooting, you could see it was love at first sight.
The 1980s went by in a blur of gigs, parties, clubs and fashion shows. This was the post-punk era. She became a fashion icon, an example for all young innocent country girls who want to make it in the big city. Julie eventually moved into fashion and makeup for film and TV, working with the likes of Margaret Thatcher, Neil Sedaka, Take That, and Jet from Gladiators. She was also a top model and socialite. We had it all in the 80s, and Julie's career in fashion and makeup just seemed to go on forever and ever. Dave and Jules renewed their marriage vows in Australia, and for a while at least, it seemed like they might move down a gear and settle into a life of married contentment. And then, towards the end of the 1980s, she discovered house music. That was a time when London was the party capital of the world, and Jules was the party queen of London. The Love Ranch, Tender, Rhythm Method, Coalesce, Meridian, the Ministry of Sound, Love Muscle, you name it, she was there. Julie took to the dance floor just like she'd taken to the catwalk. And London nightlife, acid, hardcore, rave, US garage, UK garage, progressive, techno, techno trance, deep house, deep minimal progressive tribal underground. If the party people were there, Julie Biddle was at their core, kicking them off the podium, one by one. And then, as the 20th century drew to a close, Julie had one more challenge to complete. She decided to become a mother. I only knew about it when people started coming up to me at parties and saying, "I didn't know you and Jules were going to have a baby." And to which my reply was, "Neither did I." Little baby Shay, named after a legendary footballer, was born on the 20th of April, 1999. The day Manchester United made it to the European Cup final. It was fate. This child would become Julie's and David's lucky charm. The responsibilities of motherhood meant Julie had to lower her profile. She was still very much in demand on the social circuit and still tried her best to be both superwoman and domestic goddess. But those early family years brought with them new pressures. In the end, Julie, Davy, and little baby Shay relocated to Sydney, Australia. The quieter, sunnier, relaxed lifestyle suited them, although there were also many adventures with a whole new group of friends. But after 5 years, London was calling to this faraway land. The family returned to the familiar, comforting environs of Streatham Hill, happy to spend their golden years in the company of old friends and new, revisiting old haunts and discovering new places to explore and excite.
Yeah, I'm glad Mum and Dad came back to London, actually. I love Australia, but London's where my mum belongs.
And as we say in the voiceover industry, Julie, you rock.
Jules is a great teacher of mine. It wasn't until I met Jules that I realised that London had no river and no bridges, so thanks for that, Jules.
Jules is a...
There's only one thing to say, NBA. Well, I'm Dave's friend really, but I do quite like Julie too.
I think you know something about it. Elastic, bendy, tactile. Irrepressible, irrepressible, irrepressible. Fabulous, foul, amazing.